words for the...
All right. Good? Welcome back to the Casual Gaming Conversation, the show where Nick and I come at you with our hot take, our weekly draft, and this week is a big one. The Spider-Man review and spoiler cast. Spider-Man 2 review and spoiler cast. It's going to be a fun one. How you feeling?
I have never been more eager to talk about a video game in my entire life. Ever since I started playing video games when I was around 5 or 6 years old, every single game I've ever played, I've talked to you about in some form or fashion. We have been basically radio silent, other than I've been on this chapter just making sure we're progressing correctly throughout this game, but we've held all of our thoughts for this moment. And I don't know if I'm ready to burst. I'm ready to just talk about this. I'm so curious to see what your score is. I'm so curious to see where this is lining up in your Game of the Year conversation. I'm ready to talk about this game.
Yeah.
But we have hot takes we have to do first.
Right.
Do you want to do housekeeping first?
Yeah, I'm gonna hit the housekeeping, but real fast. Yeah, Nick and we're brothers. Some people seemingly don't know that. I don't know how you can look at both of our faces and not pick up on that immediately, which is weird. But we were calling each other every day about video games and life, generally speaking, over the last few years, with Nick in college and me off gallivanting.
And before then, you in college and me in high school.
Right.
I would still call you 3 times a week just to talk about games and other stuff.
And even if Nick wasn't playing the game that I was talking about, I was just talking at him about about the game, and then vice versa at this point, with games like Hi-Fi Rush and stuff. But yeah, it's weird to just not talk about it for the first time, basically in the last decade, probably, maybe in our entire lives. But yeah, let's kick it off. Housekeeping, real fast. This is the Casual Gaming Conversation, and we are Co-op 64. You probably found us from TikTok, where we post a new TikTok every day of the week, sometimes 2. If you're feeling lucky, you'll get 2 every once in a while. Those have been doing pretty well. Really appreciate the support over on the TikTok. It's been out of this world. And thanks so much for everybody who's come over here and subscribed in the last couple of weeks. It's been awesome. It's one of those situations where I was telling Nick, we hit 1 million views on a few TikToks, and oh, that's really exciting. And we're getting thousands of new followers, and that's really cool. But then the number that I really care about is oh my god, we got 100 views on the TikTok, or on the podcast, on the YouTube page, and we got another 50 subscribers. And those are the numbers. Those are the real ones. Those are the people who are willing to sit with us for an hour, or in this case, maybe 2, depending on how this goes, and chill out. So that's been really exciting. We stream on Twitch Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 to 10. Right now, I am starting my Hi-Fi Rush journey every Wednesday after this. Nick is stoked on that.
So stoked.
We're playing Mario Wonder, dressed up as Mario, Luigi, and Peach every Monday, which has been really fun. Me, Nick, and Brady on the couch for the group stream. And then Nick is streaming Final Fantasy VII Original, the PS1 classic video game, Tuesday, Thursday. So
my first time.
Yeah. So if you want to come chat with us and talk to us, we'd love to have you over there. We're talking with everybody. So you come in, you're going to be able to talk to us, which would be awesome. We would love to have you. And then Casual Gaming every Thursday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, about an hour or 2, depending on how this all goes. But yeah, that's the run through.
You get the drafts early. You get the hot takes early.
Yes.
It's must watch viewing for the Co-op 64 fans.
And you get the honorable mentions.
You do get the honorable mentions.
Yes. That's key. We really should put at the end of our thing, just you get the honorable mentions, just to get some of the hate off of our back a little bit. Because people are that's on the list. It's we mention it. We usually mention it. All right. So now we're going to hop into the weekly hot take. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
You go first.
All right. My hot take for this week is more of a positive one. I've been mean these last few weeks, coming after Pokemon and Game Freak, coming after Game Links. A lot of people a little bit ruffled, but this week I want to spread some positivity, but I also have to give a little bit of a jab at another franchise, because that's what the hot take is all about. My hot take is that Donkey Kong Country deserves to be talked about in the way that Super Mario World and the Mario trilogy on NES is talked about. I feel like those take over the entire conversation of 2D platformers, and my hot take is that Donkey Kong Country 1 and 2 are better than every single 2D Mario game in existence.
Wow.
And this is why. The level design, beautiful. Really varied level design. You have your cart levels. You're shooting from barrel to barrel. The kinetic energy between barrel to barrel. Amazing. You're rolling. You're jumping on new enemies. The new enemies designs are amazing. There's so many different types of enemies, and they're all unique and interesting to look at. A little ugly in the art style when it comes to the enemies, but I think that gives the game a ton of character. Then comes the music. David Wise might have spun the greatest soundtrack in video game history in Donkey Kong Country 1 and especially in Donkey Kong Country 2. We have Sticker Brush Symphony. We have Aquatic Ambience. We have Forest Interlude. These songs, if you have not heard them, did you listen to the one that I sent you earlier?
Yeah, I did.
It is so good. It like wells up something inside of you and you're like, this is a game about a couple of apes, but for some reason it makes me want to cry, dude. It's so good. And then the pre-rendered backgrounds look like watercolor paintings. They make the game hold up so well to this day. And that's not to talk shit on Mario. But I feel like because Mario came first, it kind of gets all the limelight. But these games, I feel like, deserve to be at least on equal footing to this day. But when people talk about 2D platformers, they go Super Mario World. They go the original Super Mario trilogy. And I would say that the Donkey Kong Country SNES trilogy is better than the original Super Mario Bros. Trilogy. These games are masterclasses. They're amazing. And I think they hold up great today. And if you haven't played them, you need to play them. You're doing yourself a disservice by not going back and playing them. Play them on Nintendo Switch or play them on the original SNES like I did earlier this year. And this isn't nostalgia. This is all 2022 first-time player opinion, okay? Like, I have no nostalgia for these games, and I think that they are fantastic and hold up great. So that's my hot take for this week. Donkey Kong Country, better than 2D Mario games. There it is.
I'm not going to come at you. We're going to have a great time next year, me playing through some Donkey Kong Country.
We should play it together, dude.
Yeah,
it would be awesome.
Yeah, I think that those are definitely going to be on the streaming calendar sometime next year. Maybe it's on the thermometer. Maybe we just do it. But that's really exciting, man. And I'm not gonna come at you.
I feel like you don't know enough.
Yeah, I can't come at
disagree
you
or agree with it.
But like, man, we're not doing Mario Wonder impressions this week or anything. But 2D Mario's gas. Just to leave it at that. It's gas.
It's great, but dude. I'm telling you, Donkey Kong Country.
It built different.
I didn't even mention like the different like animals you can ride and everything. Changing each level, you can like there's a rhino, there's a swordfish that you can ride on. There's a springy snake that jumps through the levels. Like there's different gameplay designs like from level to level. It's very similar to Mario Wonder in that way, where like there's a new idea constantly in these levels.
Yeah.
And I feel like earlier Mario games like have like the different power ups and everything, but like they have like just different sheens or like there's ice so it's a little bit slippery or whatever. It's not like totally different mechanics necessarily, and I think that Donkey Kong Country excels in all of those areas. So
absolutely. You ready?
Yeah. Was that a good impassioned take? I feel like I made a case.
You made a case. I'm gonna potentially start some shit.
Well, you already started some shit earlier this week, so
with what
the side quest one?
Side quest one.
Yeah.
I mean, that was last week's take. But my gaming hot take for this week is Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo. They need to stop with their own showcases and just give it to Keighley at this point. I think that Jeff Keighley and the Game Awards and Summer Game Fest and Opening Night Live, they are more of the mainstay and are more important to the industry than any solo showcase. Let's start with this year's Game Awards. 10-year anniversary, there's going to be heat there. I don't think that any place celebrates game more than the Game Awards. And that's where we're going to see, this is another part of my hot take, that's where we're going to see GTA 6. That's where we're going to get to see, most likely, the next Nintendo console, which I've already predicted in a previous episode. That has a lot more of a chance to see a moment like that than these showcases. With that being said, PlayStation fans do not have this upcoming Game Awards as their savior. It is really upsetting to see on the internet people be like, we're going to get Wolverine, Death Stranding, and 6 other PlayStation games that weren't at the showcase. That's not going to happen. You're going to get Death Stranding 2 trailer, hopefully a date. You're going to get one more moment from PlayStation Studios, potentially, at the Game Awards. But it's not going to be your savior. With that being said, Square Enix gets it. They gave Final Fantasy VII Rebirth their trailer with the date, with the 2 discs, at Summer SGF. They gave it they just said 2 discs. We got the data to State of Play. But they gave the big summer trailer at SGF. It wasn't at the PlayStation Showcase 2 weeks prior because they know, what's going to be more hype? You know what's going to celebrate games the way that we want to celebrate games? Jeff Keighley. Let us talk about this game if we want to. Jeff will let you do whatever you want. There's no overhead with Jeff. You literally can be like, if you want to, Ken Levine could have walked out on stage and talked about Juice for an hour and a half after that reveal last year. Same with a developer from Supergiant, with Hades.
Yeah.
Like, they celebrate games the way that games are supposed to be celebrated. I think Xbox kind of gets it with their developer direct earlier this year. Let's let these devs talk about it. Let's throw in a surprise or 2 in there, and let's celebrate games. But that's Sony's showcase. Oof. The last couple of Nintendo Directs, I know we're coming up on new Nintendo hardware, but still, like, take it out to pasture. Just like don't do another Nintendo Direct that's not going to have the necessary hype you need for Nintendo Direct. At the end of the day, this man gets it. And it's one of those things that, like, yeah, he's had a long, arduous road to get there, but the Game Awards is the pinnacle of showcases nowadays. It's the pinnacle of celebration of games. It's the pinnacle of award shows. Way better, way more interesting than any other award show because you get those announcements, because you get the hype. You get speeches from impassioned developers about games that aren't even released yet. It's terrific. It's what showcases should be. And I'm super excited for the 10-year anniversary.
So you want Nintendo and all of them to stop doing showcases?
I want them to do less. I want them to do objectively less. We don't need a state of play every, like, two partner state of plays, a Sony showcase, 3 game deep dive showcases throughout the year from Sony. We don't need that. Cut it down back to 2 Nintendo Directs a year. We don't need 3. Leave a couple of the gas announcements for Game Awards and own the night. Like, everyone's like nervous about.
You can't own the night though if everybody's going on the same night.
Yeah, you totally can. You totally can.
You just have to win.
No, it's not. It's not even winning. It's because it's done in such a beautiful way, where every single third-party Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, these people are able to step in and have their moment. It's a 3 fucking hour show, dude. Mm-hmm. Like, it's long.
You can have your moment, but the headlines after it are going to focus.
What was the headline last year?
It was Judas, or what was it? It was Judas and Hades. And
Armored Core 6?
Armored Core 6 was the headline.
But Armored Core 6 is, once again,
there's always one.
I don't know, though. I think that they're all in the same tier. Hades 2 is as big as Armored Core 6, is as big as Judas, is as big.
But GTA 6 shows up and it ruins everything for all
of
us.
Well, GTA 6 is beyond that. But I'm saying, like, why couldn't we have Thousand Year Door at Game Awards or Summer Game Fest? Why couldn't we have the new Peach game? Why couldn't we have a Hellblade date or the announcement of Clockwork Revolution?
You know, like, why? I'm explaining it to you.
No, the reason is these people, like, Clockwork Revolution would have way bigger of a moment at the Game Awards than it did to close out the Xbox Direct this year. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater is like not. Like, we've seen that today at the partner showcase, and that's another reason why I'm so impassioned about this right now, is there's so many different brandings for these different showcases across the industry, and no one gets it when it comes to expectations and delivering like Jeff does. And everyone knows what you get with the Game Awards now. You get 3 or 4 crazy moments. You get 10 awesome moments, and then you get to celebrate games. There's no, like, the PlayStation Showcase fumbled the bag this year. Xbox Showcase was great, but following it up in retrospect, following it up with Starfield Direct, even as phenomenal as it was a little too long. They could have taken a couple pieces out and put in a couple into SGF or the Game Awards or Opening Night Live. And then the big one is Nintendo. Really, like, talk about just not having any
year.
gas.
Just this year.
They
usually have really great directs.
I understand, but directs, like, really great directs, I don't think we've really seen since, like, almost 2 years ago now. The tiers, announcements, and trailers have carried these directs recently. And so I want consistent, great things. That 1,000-year door announcement, the direct we just had did not need to happen. That 1,000-year door announcement could have happened at Game Awards. The Peach game could have been literally a solo trailer. We got the announcement. We don't need a deep dive in the middle of a direct. F-Zero 99 could have been a quick drop on the Nintendo thing, like they just showed off with Mario Party 3 coming finally October 27th to Nintendo Online. Like, these things you can spread out in a way to really celebrate these games. And instead of leaving something being like, that was mid, let them own the moment and have a great moment. That is my hot take this week. Let's talk about Spider-Man.
I think a better take is not a better take. It's a fine take. I don't agree with it, but I think a good take is just that the Game Awards is fucking awesome. It needs to be respected. Like,
yeah,
I feel like people meme on the Game Awards and Jeff, but like, dude, like, I feel like nobody's done more for the industry when it comes to showcases and celebrating video games than Jeff Keighley at this point.
Yeah, 89 million viewers last year.
Yeah,
like, absolutely windmill dunking on every other award show, and it's because he gets it. He knows how to celebrate, and he knows how to, like, there's no moments like when you know Jeff Keighley's on one. Right. You know he's owning the moment, the Elden Ring moment, the Armored Core 6 moment, the Judas, Hades 2, like, these games that, like, he delivers is really spectacular. And then you do have moments like 2 years ago, Alan Wake 2, that is a game that we're all stoked for now.
Yeah.
Like, he gets it. He understands it.
They've been crushing it the last few years, and I feel like it's just going to keep ramping up as he gains more trust. The only thing I can see hurting him is the stage crashing. The people coming on stage, that sucks.
Oh, I straight up want there to be a clause that allows them to, like, be like, you're getting tased or something. Like,
they should be executed on stage or whatever.
Guillotine, roll it out.
It's so messed up, dude.
Especially, like, for that to happen again in Germany. Like,
right.
It's really sad. And, like, the frustration you can see that on Jeff's side. He's a professional for a reason. He's terrific at it, but man.
Oh, yeah, he definitely rolls with the punches pretty well. Speaking of Game Awards, I was just thinking about this. We will be suited up, reacting to the Game Awards December 6th? 7th. December 7th. Idea here, I think we should easy allies it and go here and sit behind the table and set up a screen.
We can totally do that.
Better. It would look better.
We can do that.
We should make our faces bigger in it or whatever, you know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. Well, that will be a whole weekend process.
Yeah,
the weekend
before. I think it'll look better.
No, I'm just saying the weekend before, like, we're gonna be testing everything.
Yeah,
it's gonna
just
be great.
think about how those early Easy Allies reacts look or whatever. They look so awesome. And we can get people just around a table. Is Shane coming for that?
TBD.
Yeah, it would be awesome if he does, because then we can shoot more wavelengths too. All right. We're going to hop into our Spider-Man review. We're going to break one of these out for a TikTok, because and that will go up tomorrow, but by the time you see this, it'll already be up.
They'll be posted at the same time, 9 to 9 most likely.
Okay.
This will be posted when the TikTok's posted.
Yeah. We're going to give our spoiler-free reviews, and then we're going to jump into full spoiler mode, but we will let you know. Excuse me.
I will let you take it first, Connor. Yeah. Spider-Man 2 review. Give us a score. Give us what the scoring breakdown is, what our scale is first, and then give us a score. Let us know your spoiler-free impressions.
Let me hit it with, like, what our scale is real fast.
Yeah, we can do that.
We're doing a 20-point scale. So we're doing 0.5s basically.
Yeah.
So we can explore the whole scale, 8.5, 9.
Before you hop into it, the reasoning behind that is basically we live in an industry that is swimming in sevens. Easy Allies nailed that phrase. It's something that legitimately we get a lot of 7 out of 10 games. So doing a 5-point scale doesn't really work. Doing a 7-point scale, I think that, like, there's a lot of games that are around that 7.5 that I would recommend compared to a 7 that I personally wouldn't. And so we don't want to just say 7s are all lumped in together. And then you have games that are the elite of the elite. In the year 2023, there are so many games that are so phenomenal. having that 0.5 allows us to really differentiate those 8, 8.5, 9, 9.5, and 10 out of 10 games. And I think that is really important. So we had a long conversation about it. We honestly took it seriously. Like, I want to make that very clear that this wasn't like let's just do this. Like, we talked about games in the past that we would review, stuff like that, and how this scale would allow us to have a conversation. But the conversation is also really important.
Listen to what we say. The score shouldn't really matter at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because I think this game is about to be a really great example of that. Do you want to team me up just kind of like you were doing or whatever?
Yes.
Like, give me with the Connor. What is your review? Like one of those.
Yeah. Connor, we have both played Spider-Man 2. What is...
Roll that back real fast.
What?
Just the... Sorry, this... Okay,
yeah. Connor, we both played Spider-Man 2. What is your score, and what is your spoiler-free review?
I think Spider-Man 2 is a great video game, and on our scale I would give it a 8.0, an 8 out of 10. It is a fantastic follow-up to Spider-Man 2018. It takes some steps back and many steps forward. I think the traversal is way better with the introduction of the wingsuit. Wingsuit is one of my favorite ways to get around an open world in any video game ever. The combat has some new flashy animations and new abilities that I think is really exciting and cool to look at, but don't really change the gameplay enough for me to feel that it's a huge step up from the original. There is some issues that come back from Spider-Man 2018 that I was a little shocked that are still in this game, that take it down a little bit, but even those are improved. The slower moments are a little bit better. The times when you're not in your spider suit are better in this game than they were in 2018. And then overall, the story, I think, is a little bit weaker, but it's really hard to go above my favorite Spider-Man story in Spider-Man 2018. I think that story is nearly perfect, and that is what really elevated that game for me. But overall, Spider-Man 2, fantastic time with it. I think it is a great video game. Is it in the upper echelon of PlayStation games? I don't think so, but that's really a fantastic catalog. I think it's a great video game, though. What do you think?
I am going... this was difficult. First and foremost, even before this review started, said I'm between 2.5s. But I think that this is a 9 out of 10 game for me.
Whoa!
I do think that this game is spectacular. I think that this game deserves the flowers it gets. And when I started playing this game, those first 8 hours, I was so locked solid that this was an 8 out of 10. I think that the first 7 or 8 hours, it is more Spider-Man. There's some great additions. There's some great moments. It sets the stage up really well. But there's a moment around 2/3 in this game that is just so gas that the entire time you are just having the best time playing as Spider-Man, that I cannot comprehend how they made me smile for 7 straight hours. The biggest thing that I want to leave this review saying is the $300 million spent on Insomniac from PlayStation was the greatest purchase in video game history.
That's cheap. That is a steal. Highway robbery, one may say.
So we can dive into this spoiler-filled now, but I really just need to say that like this is spectacular, amazing game that like I'm excited to hop into spoiler-filled conversation because holy shit, there's so much we need to talk about.
And if you want to see our spoiler-filled review, go over to youtube.com/co-op64. Before we wrap this up, I gave it an 8, you gave it a 9. What is your favorite thing about Spider-Man 2?
My favorite thing are the characters and their dynamics. I think that each set point or set piece is poignant because of the dynamics of the characters. And that is what elevates it really from an 8 or an 8.5 to that 9 for me.
Gotcha. My favorite thing is the stealth in this game. I think is a huge improvement from the first one. That grapple slack line that you can do to go over a room, I was clearing out whole bases of like 45 people. I'm just like just left and right. You. I was just getting everybody. Line over there, go over there, go over there, and not being restrained by the poles that are around the room and just waiting for somebody to walk under you. It allows for way more movement and like way more agency in how I handled a room in that way, and I thought that was spectacular.
Yep.
That was awesome. Okay. You can include all of that or some of that. I think that gave us a good baseline. But we are about to hop into a full spoiler review. That was a little bit for the TikTok, a little bit for you guys, but let's get into it.
I forgot I had to edit that video. I was like, oh, the person, like someone else might have to edit that video. They'll figure it out. And then I was like, oh, I get to edit that. That's so exciting. I'm really excited to edit that video tonight.
Do you think that went well? I mean, that's our first like review ever, so it was exciting.
It's hard, chat, to feel like we're now in a spot where we have an audience that like actually wants to hear what we have to say for one, but also, holy shit, it's PlayStation. It's PlayStation first party. It's Spider-Man. Like, to be like, we get to like talk about a game like this. It truly, for me, is an honor. Like, and it's hard to like put that into words. To go in from the start of this podcast being like, we've talked about every game we've ever played, to not being able to for like 5 straight days. It's really terrific and really great. So let's hop into spoiler filled.
We're gonna go spoiler filled.
Spoilers all the way. Now,
if you want to skip to the draft, that would be the other thing that you might be able to watch from this podcast. And then once you've played Spider-Man, come back and give this a watch. Throw it a like. So I've written out a few questions, and we're just gonna kind of go story, combat. Like we're gonna kind of go piece by piece here. So I want to start off talking about our heroes, Miles and Peter. How do you feel the dynamic between them is handled? How do you feel the switching between their stories is handled in your eyes?
The last one I want to get to is which one do you prefer? But the way that they handle their dynamic, like
story-wise.
Yeah, story. We're just doing story?
Yeah.
The way that they handle their dynamic is not perfect.
Yes. Okay, thank God. I thought you were going to say it's great. This is one of my biggest issues with the game. I just feel like Miles is a little bit shoved to the side, unfortunately.
Yeah, Miles is shoved to the side, even though I prefer Miles' story in this in the same way that I prefer Miles' story in 2018. I love his character.
Miles Morales?
Yeah, Miles Morales, yes. Yeah. I love his character growth. I love his relationship with his characters almost as much as I love the Peter's relationship with theirs. But like, they're intertwining. The amount of moments that were just like, There was one phone call that really bothered me towards the end of this game where like Pete is going in to like fight off against Harry and Miles like, dude, wait 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Just wait. And he's like, sorry, you can't do that. I'm like, why the frick can't you do it? There was no sense, like, as much as there's this like mentor and like Padawan relationship, it is so frustrating to have this character just like be like, hey, like, we care about each other, we'll do a lot for each other, but like whenever they ask each other to do anything, they disregard each other 9 out of 10 times, and that's very frustrating.
I mean, I feel like this is kind of a core character aspect for Spider-Man from the stuff I've seen. It is important to note that like our knowledge of Spider-Man comes from movies and video games, and that's it. We aren't comic people.
Not comic people.
So I'm sure that there's more context, and potentially the story has already been told the way that it has been told in other pieces of fiction, but For me, I think that the handling of Miles and Peter is interesting. I think it's as good as you can do it, but I also think it's a bad idea to do it in the first place.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's way more interesting to just focus on one person's story and then focus on the next. But just with the rules of the world they've set up at this point, it's really hard to do that because, like, Miles and Peter are so intertwined at this point. Like, I feel like a lot of Miles' stories, it's like Miles is in his own location and then Peter is in his own location with like Spider-Verse and everything. They're in separate universes or whatever. So like here it was just kind of a bummer because it really focuses on Harry and Peter's relationship, and then usually it's the Harry-Peter relationship or Harry and Craven, especially once Venom gets introduced, like Miles just completely shoved to the side for the most part. He's still going through his own like personal struggle with Mr. Negative, but that just felt a little trite in my opinion.
I love the relationship with Lee in this game.
I thought it was cool and like interesting. It just felt a little bit generic.
For me, it was actually the main relationship that took this up for me. Like that
it was definitely his best part.
Yeah, and that relationship for me was not just poignant because I think that at the end of the day, him being like, I'm not going to forgive you, which, like, I'm like, thank God. Like, dude, this guy killed your father. You don't need to be like, hey, let's let's dap it up, like we're homies now. But be like, we can find an understanding, and you are a man looking for redemption. I'm not going to give that to you, but I'm not going to like slap your hand away. Was a really mature way to deal with that. And we're talking about a 17-year-old Miles Morales that it is mature for his age and like learning all these things through Peter, and that is what his dad would want. That's what May would have wanted, and that's why I'm like, nailed it. That is a relationship that is, for me, concrete. Like, there's multiple times, so and obviously, like, this is something that we see in other pieces of fiction, like Spider-Man having to show that restraint even though he doesn't want to, and being that hero that we sometimes don't think we would be. But like, man, I that was the relationship that I really love. Sorry for a little bit of a tangent there, but like that was great.
I do agree. I think that Miles is a more interesting character than Peter across the board here, and it's just frustrating that like the main story thread doesn't really go through him. The main story thread totally goes through Peter, and I just think Peter here is going through a situation that I feel like we've seen so many times with the Venom situation. Like everybody, like especially with like Spider-Man 3, the Raimi film, it's just like it's his flight path is exactly the same still. He gets it on him, he becomes a dick, he's mean to everybody around him, they push him away, it gets on somebody else. In this instance, it's Harry, and then it goes from there, which I think is the unique part. I don't think that Harry's had the symbiote in other known pieces, like big pieces of fiction. I'm sure it's happening in a comic or whatever, But before we get to Harry and Venom, let's talk about Kraven. How do you feel about him being the big bad for 75% of this game?
I think that like my note on this actually says it best, but it comes down to him as a whole person and him as an idea, which I really enjoyed. But the first thing that I wrote about Kraven in my notes was Kraven's theme kicks endless amounts of ass.
Dude, it's so good.
And I do think that that's important to like mention, is because when that theme kicks in, you're like, oh shit, it's about to go down. Like we're about to have a battle, and because of that, like he sets the stage. I think the overarching story with Kraven is like awesome. Let's play the most dangerous game in New York freaking city. Like that is really a cool idea.
It's cool, like, for superheroes, but like as a superhero villain, I'm just like, his motivations seem silly to me. Like,
why? His family was all hunters, and he wants to go on a hunt to honor his family before he dies because he knows he's gonna die.
So he just wants to fight he just
wants to kill.
I want to just fuck some people up, and like that's his entire motivation.
But that's it's shown through the tradition of all of it. It's a tradition.
So I understand the context of it. It doesn't mean that I don't think it's lame.
Okay,
it's just kind of lame. Like
I think it's cool.
I think he's like a menacing villain. I think he's clearly powerful and like a good threat to Spider-Man. But I just found his backstory boring.
I wish that there was a scene where he took out someone more important than Scorpion.
Cool. I thought
because he took out Scorpion, and that was like badass.
But but we didn't even see it.
We did. The Scorpion gets stabbed, and then he kills Scorpion.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
I'm saying that
I thought they took him. I didn't. Remember.
Yeah, he killed Scorpion.
But no, didn't they take him with them or whatever? I didn't think he died. Well,
no,
they have a suit.
No, I'm pretty sure the Scorpion stabs him with the thing, and then he comes in back and kills Scorpion.
Okay, yeah, he dies. I thought he might have just passed out. And so from poison.
I think it was dead. And what I was saying was, I was like, part of me hopes he like everyone wants the Goblin story in 3. Everyone wants. I'm like, I wish he kind of like iced like Harry's dad, or he killed Doc Ock, or like someone that's like we really give a shit about.
Yeah.
And I know that they're trying to set the stage for 3 and everything and keep a lot of the important players on the battlefield, but I'm like, you had an opportunity to be like, whoa. I wanted that moment. I wanted the Thanos being the shit out of the Hulk moment, where it's like, we look at the Hulk as like crazy, and he one-ups it. Like, it's I wanted that moment a little bit, but they did have like a version of it. It just needed to be a little bit better. But I genuinely like Kraven. I like the hunters as your like everyday bad.
Yeah.
I think that they work really well. And I do like the overall premise of the start of the story. That actually was like, before we hit like the bullet hell of bosses at the end of this game.
There really wasn't very many bosses towards the beginning.
There wasn't, but like I was kind of okay. Like we have these like alright bosses. Sandman was I think a great introduction. We can say the fact that it got quote unquote spoiled. Yeah. They showed it in the launch trailer. What the fuck are you doing, Insomniac?
Right.
Like, What
It's like
are
the
you
only
doing?
villain that wasn't really shown.
I mean, we didn't know Lee was gonna be back in the game, which was really terrific.
Oh, I guess that's fair.
And like
Maybe
once again,
I don't. It might have been in a trailer. I don't know.
I don't think we
It
did.
seemed like something that would be shown, but yeah, you're right.
But yeah, I really do appreciate. I just appreciate the overall concept, and I think that the execution was there on a certain level. I do think that the Black Cat scene and everything with Miles and like them going after Black Cat, them going after Tombstone, but I wish that them going after certain ones were like. I do wish there was the moment that they're like they're trying to get Doc Ock. Doc Ock was the big bad of the Sinister Six, and then they kill the leader of the like.
But I mean, I'm not really. He was menacing without killing these
was,
certain villains.
totally.
I just am trying to like gain like a good villain like has some sympathy or at least some understanding as to why they're doing what they're doing.
Like,
I still think it's just not that compelling. That's fine if you think that that's the case.
It works for
like,
me.
Yeah,
It totally worked for me.
Sure.
I'm all about it.
I do appreciate, speaking of the other villains, I like how they humanize like a lot of the other villains. I mean, like Tombstone and like Sandman and everything.
Lizard too.
And Lizard, you feel bad for most of them. I mean, a lot of them are reformed and trying to get better. And like, I thought that was a pretty cool way to handle that specifically.
Yeah, you got the people that are still in the raft and are messed up and like are really bad dudes, and then you got the people that are trying to figure it out on the outside a little bit. And then Lee, I felt like was the perfect crossroads. So like he's still in the raft, he gets broken out, but he's in the raft, but he's trying to be better, and that was really cool to see.
So then, how do you feel about the handling of Harry and Venom and the transition from Craven to Venom?
We're just doing story beats with this. I think that it was very textbook.
It felt fast.
It felt. I don't think it felt fast personally, but I felt like the entire time it was very telegraphed, and I didn't love that. I do think that some of the slower moments in the game, whether it's the Miles and Harry stealth mission through the high school, whether it's just them having the conversations throughout the game, I do think were fantastic and allowed for some of those more emotional beats to actually really hit.
I hated those moments. I really did.
Oh
yeah,
man, I think this is where the 9 to the 8 to 9.
I cannot believe that they're still in this game to the extent that they are.
I saw this on TikTok. Someone was like, Spider-Man taking 20 punches to take it down a Venom person. Mary Jane with the one shot with the gat. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, she was fucking people out.
Yeah.
I mean, so let's just stick with Venom before we hop over to that, because we have probably very differing opinions on those areas. But I like Venom. Like, Venom's just cool as a villain or whatever. I think he's like the cooler of the two, and I think that the dynamic between Harry and Peter and how that grows into the Venom threat is really interesting. I just, like I said, I think it felt a little fast once he like. With the Craven to Venom switch over. It's like Craven is the villain, and then hard cut, Venom is the villain. I wish there was a little bit more time, like a crossover where they were both existing in the city, if that makes sense.
But what I appreciated with that was what I was saying about Craven. I wanted that like transition to 1-up. Venom does it. Venom takes Craven out.
Yeah.
And that moment is where you're just like, we've been fighting and failing on this guy over and over. How are we going to beat this? Like, and that sense of dread as New York starts to get taken over by Venom is palpable compared to Craven, who I do think is the lesser of the two. And I think that moment is like poignant. It allows us to breathe a little bit in the sense of like, or sorry, not breathe a little bit. It takes your breath away a little bit, and it's like, oh shit, this is happening now. Like,
yeah, when he bites his head off, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay, it's over.
I mean, there's the moment, like, I literally was like, oh shit, is this rated M? Like, I was like, when he straight up grabs the security guard, drops him on his knee, and you just see the man split basically in half. I'm like, this is not PG-13.
Yeah, that whole, I mean, this is kind of related to Venom, but that whole sequence where you get to play as Venom, cool. Like,
I don't want to. I want to hold off on the gameplay portion of that. But yeah.
It was shocking.
Very
like
cool.
I was like, oh yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Wish you got to do it more.
We'll talk about that in a second.
But yeah, so I think Venom's an interesting villain. I think you're really just going up against the fact that we've already seen Venom in so many pieces of media at this point that like the arc to Venom, like I said earlier, is very similar to every other Venom story that involves Peter, where he gets the symbiote, he gets it off of him, it goes to an enemy, and then you have to take him down or whatever. Which is fine. Like, Venom's still cool. He's cool looking.
But I think that this story does that best with the one-upping moment. I like with that because Spider-Man versus Venom is like all right, but having Venom surpass a boss and surpass a villain, I think elevated the scariness of Venom, the level of intensity of Venom compared to the past, where it's like, yeah, he's just another Spider-Man that's like a little bit more powerful, a little bit more bulky, but to have that clear, definitive thing of we've been for literally 10 hours been losing to this guy over and over again, right, to then have the one-up moment, I'm like, oh, this sets a new stage around Venom that we didn't get to see in other pieces of media. Once again, not comics, but just movies and games. Like, all for it. All for it.
I did appreciate how they really circle back in with Venom on Harry's motivations with like the healing the world thing. I thought that was pretty interesting. And
once again, I think that Harry's dynamic overall and Harry as a character is terrific.
I like Harry a lot. I thought his relationship with Peter was great, and I think this might be my favorite Harry that we've seen.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you're not competing with The Amazing Spider-Man, but
I think that
James Franco and the original trilogy, I think he's way better.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, but I think Insomniac really knows how to use these characters pretty well. And then we have MJ. I feel like she's used well in this game. She's like not a sideline character necessarily. Like she's given stuff to do and be a part of the team, and that's really highlighted by her being like in the final battle. It's her, Peter, and Miles. So that was pretty cool. She's really interesting, and I like her pushback with Peter, and I feel like that's overdone in a lot of stuff, but it worked for me here for the most part. I had no problem with it.
I think that her relationship with Miles is also really pure.
Oh yeah, really that was cool. Like that they just like they're also buddies now or whatever. She's just like on the in crowd with him, so like they talk separately from Peter.
Like those solo phone calls, like swinging through New York, and like were really added a layer that I was like. There's almost more of like a like good understanding and like healthy relationship between Miles and MJ than Miles and Peter. Yeah. And I was like all about it. I was like when the phone rang and it was MJ, I much preferred that compared to when it was Peter when I was playing with Miles.
And here's another like weird thing with MJ, and this is like the only controversial thing I'll talk about when it comes to this game. Internet thinks MJ is ugly. Like, they're like, why are all PlayStation characters ugly? I'm like, dude, she's cute as all get out. She's super cute. What are we talking about here?
I'm going to let the internet decide on that one.
Really? Yeah. Oh, you have no take there? Yeah, I mean...
I have no take. I think that she looks like a person. Like, I'm not like she's like, she's smoking hot.
No. That's the thing is, like, no, everybody doesn't need to be smoking hot. Yeah. She's just cute. Like, I'm like, what do you mean?
She's just a person.
Yeah, and when you're going, like, for more realistic as we keep pushing towards that or whatever, like, you're going to see, like, the little flaws in, like, people's faces now or whatever. So, like... She just looks like a person now. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, well, I think her character design is great. And then let's just kind of talk about the ending, where we kind of leave off with Peter, Miles, Harry, everybody. How you feel like we're going to kind of lead into Spider-Man 3. Where are you feeling?
Put Spider-Man on ice for a bit. Mm-hmm. It's my first like advice piece, but I think
PS6 game?
PS5.
I think it ends the PS5.
Yeah.
2018 to 2023. But you had Miles in between,
and we had Miles and Ratchet in between.
Separate teams.
I know, but I'm saying that the Spider-Man team isn't the Wolverine team.
The Spider-Man team is the Miles Morales team.
I know, but like, so that's a 2-year gap and then a 3-year gap. What I'm saying is,
so 4 years.
I'm saying three-ish years.
Okay.
And so I think next year, 2025-ish, early 2025, late 2024, we'll see Wolverine, and then well, there's a chance. Don't quote me on this. If they put this next game in fully New York, we see that game late 2025.
Yeah. So the ending.
Oh yeah, it's good. Like I think that the overarching ending where like the game finished, and I don't like the fact that Norman is pissed at Spider-Man.
That was a little weird.
I don't think that it was earned.
Awkward. Yeah.
In the sense that like he's like save my boy. And then he kind of saves him.
Right, he was going to die.
Yeah.
If Harry was like dead at that point or whatever, or did die, that would have been way more compelling. Way more for his story.
Yeah, for Norman's story. But like I do like literally I thought in my head, I was like, this game is gonna end. We didn't see Doc Ock, but he's still on the playing field. Basically, we're gonna end with Goblin and Doc Ock as the big bads at 3. I saw that coming. I think like
you did watch the cutscene, right?
Yeah. I saw that coming like 12ish hours in, where I was like, oh, these are the villains like that are now like fully in the game, because they're not going to introduce anyone at a certain point.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, that's where that's going, and that's cool. And like those are.
I thought Green Goblin was going to get shown in this game at some point, or like I thought the post credit scene was going to be him like putting on the suit or something.
Yeah.
They really don't do that though, which is weird. They kind of teased Venom a little bit in Spider-Man 1, but like they didn't show Venom.
Yeah, I don't want that from a post credit scene. I don't want like it's comes down to the Sandman thing. I don't want to see Sandman. I want to play against Sandman. I don't want to see Green Goblin. I want to play against him. That's the compelling aspect of playing these Spider-Man games. It's not just seeing him on the big screen, but you get to fight him, and like that's cool and powerful, especially when the dynamics are as compelling as I think they were at certain points in this game.
And then we have Peter potentially hanging it up for at least a while.
I would love to not see this Peter Parker in another video game.
I don't think you. I think you have to for Spider-Man 3.
For Spider-Man 3, you 100% do, because the relationships with Norman and the relationship with Doc Ock are Peter.
Yeah,
but like,
and then you have the character teased at the end. Who are familiar with this? Silk. Yeah. So Cassie, I think is her name. She's getting added, so she's like an organic Spider-Man. Like all of her spider fluid is in her body, like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. So I get, what if she gets like a whole?
I'm more interested in her getting a solo game than
like
we're at the point with the Marvel universe, and because there's other Marvel shit happening in New York in this game, I'm more interested in like them fleshing things out than coming back to Spider-Man right away.
Yeah.
Where like my prediction on Spider-Man 3 being as soon as I think it's going to be, because Insomniac just cranks out games. Once again, the greatest $3 million.
30.
It's 300. Did I say 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like 30, and I was like, wait, no.
$300 million anyone's ever spent, because they just rip out billion-dollar games left and right. It's really impressive to see the way that they're starting to build up this Marvel universe. I would be okay with them giving us a Miles game, giving us a Silk game, giving us a Doctor Strange game, giving us any game in this world.
Doctor Strange game would be interesting. I don't even know how that gameplay would work.
Dude.
That was a cool sequence.
I was about to say, they really called up the other dev team from for Ratchet and Clank. Yeah. Like, you guys,
that's what I was
thinking. You guys nailed it.
Yeah.
We want to use the shit out of that for a moment. Like, we're not going to make a whole game out of it, but like, you definitely could see the bleeding into that, and it was honestly like one of the coolest moments in the game. That fight sequence was spectacular. It was awesome.
Right. So I like where we leave off. Honestly, I think it's going to be interesting to see what they do going forward with the dynamic between Miles and Peter. But I think the ending was solid. I think it wraps up pretty well. I think Venom getting axed. Did you finish the Flame side quests?
No.
Do you want to know?
I would prefer not, but if it's important enough to tee up the next game.
Okay,
so just rip it.
Carnage.
Oh, there's going to be Carnage?
The guy with the beard or whatever, the leader, he gets Carnage at the end of it.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So
that's also another chess piece on the board?
Right, yeah. So
which ones have you finished? Because I'm almost done with, like...
I finished Marco's, the Sandman ones. I finished all the photos. I finished all the music ones where you're getting all the instruments back for Miles. I didn't unlock that.
I'm not there yet.
And then I finished the Flame. So I have, like, the Prowler stuff left. I have. We can talk.
I've done Prowler. I've done the photos. Like, we've done very different things.
Oh, the photos are easy, dude. Shout out Greg and Blessing being one of the photos.
Oh yeah, that was really cool to see the Kind of Funny Bros. And I actually found that was my third photo I found.
Oh really? Yeah, that was like one of the last ones.
Really early, and I was like, it's awesome that that is a full side quest just to celebrate them. So that's really cool.
Yeah, just them not like just walking by like you did in Spider-Man 1 for it to be a picture of them.
To be a moment, which I'm like. How do they get in Spider-Man 3? We'll see.
Yeah, they're full-on characters in Spider-Man 3.
I do see a world where Insomniac lets him be a suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, at this point, like...
Well, there is shirtless Spider-Man, right?
No.
With the abs? No?
No, I don't...
Oh, maybe it was a mod of him in the underwear, I think.
But there's not a Greg Miller or Blessing. All
right. Yeah. Let's roll into combat, into the gameplay. In my opinion... General feelings, the weaker aspect of the game in comparison to the story and gameplay. My biggest issue with the gameplay is the added abilities and the variety between the Venom abilities and like his regular like spider arm abilities, and then for Miles the orange lightning and the blue lightning. I'm like, these just are reskins of each other. They might like do a little bit different of things, but for me it's like I'm just getting them and I'm spamming them every single time. Anytime the cooldown happen, I'm hitting it. And like getting the Venom abilities looks really cool, and I'm like, this looks amazing. And like sounds, I think the sounds are really interesting, and like
the DualSense, dude, holy
the DualSense
shit,
is really awesome on it.
The whole game, it is like one of the stars of the show.
Yeah,
whether it's the side missions or the just sounds or.
I love the use of the microphone on the controller. I've always been a fan of that. I know that's controversial. Some people really do not like the microphone or the speaker on the controller. I've always liked that. But yeah, I think when it comes to the gameplay here in comparison to Spider-Man 1, it's like the same game, except like a little bit flashier. I'm still doing the same thing. Knock the guy in the sky, swing and hit him, hit a few punches, swing again and hit him, and then send him off. Shoot a few webs. Like, I'm just doing the same thing over and over again. But it's fun.
Here's the thing. I'm like, this is ice cream in a video game. Where it's like, at a certain point, people are like, the game's too short. I'm like, no, the game's perfect length, in my opinion. Where it's like, it's ice cream. You were gonna freaking love it but at a certain point, you're not gonna have as much fun with it. But like for a lot of you, you're gonna love it. I love the combat in this game. I do think, yes, it's very. You shoot a few webs. You use your combos when you get them right away. You pop off your gadgets. But for me, starting to understand the gadgets a little bit more, I was swinging, kicking a person towards the wall, doing a gadget that spewed out webs, so I knew that guy would actually get attached to the wall, so I would get to basically take out that enemy in 2 hits compared to 5 hits and a punch up and an attack. And I was planning this out in the stealth and just the whole combat system. And then when you get to turn on your rage mode for God of War, those L3, R3, accept the truth moments, where you just start beating the shit out of people as as Peter. Unbelievable. The Miles abilities, less fun. I actually swing around the city a lot more as Miles because I enjoy Miles' character and I enjoy like his suits more. I just enjoy Miles more and his story is more compelling. I'd rather be him in the game. But like the Peter abilities are great, and the moment that they take him away, you're like,
oh, dude, I was so scared that they were going to be gone for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
I was like, this feels like a punishment.
Yeah.
And I was like, they cannot allow this to be the rest of the game like this. And thank God you get the anti-Venom suit.
Which is, I think, really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. And the reasoning and the story beats too loud to happen, I think, are chef kiss. Like, once again, that's what brought it up. For me, I was around that 8.5, and the boss hell at the end, plus the story beats at the end, were really impactful. Like there's one moment that I wrote down that like was like the most Spider-Man moment I think that I will ever have. It's the moment where you are in Mr. Negative's head and everyone is telling you, it's not like the May moment or anything like that. It's where all of Miles' people, when they're fighting in the Kraven arena, are like telling him he sucks basically. But when his dad comes out and he tells him to give up, and then Miles says, "Not giving up," and like he just keeps going, and I literally shed a tear in that moment. And that was like the moment for me where I was like, dude, like this is at least an 8.5, and then the bullet hell boss run at the end where for 5 straight hours you were going toe to toe.
It's a lot of bosses.
There's a lot of bosses, but for me, I'm like, each one is interesting, each one has their moments. The Kraven fight as Peter, where he has the same moveset as the Kraven fight against Venom, shows that power difference and dynamic that I'm like, yes, all about that. Come on. And so, like, that's what gave me that 9. But, like, man, the story beats. Sorry, what were we talking about?
We were talking about gameplay.
Yeah, but the gameplay is terrific. Yeah.
So it's interesting you say that about the web abilities, the right R1 abilities. I was just spamming those left and right.
You're
doing it a little bit more skilled.
Around 9 hours in, I started really locking in how to do this in a way that actually was like a lot better, especially the Venom abilities. When you have that circle that's a sonic sound and that immediately stuns them and is terrific. But like planning, timing, using using the traversal to like train the Venom people like zombies and then pop them all in. Use your like stun ability and then use your combo. There's certain things that like, yeah, you can play this game using your parry a little bit, using your dodge a little bit, smashing X, using triangle every now and then to get like closer to enemies. But if you start locking it in, the combat system allows you to do some things in some really cool ways.
I'm sure it does, and I feel like that's a problem with difficulty, maybe, like in general, regular mob fights. Like, if you want me to do something else, like that's a little bit more complicated than what I'm doing, you need to force me to do it. Like, I'm not gonna just like, if what I'm doing is working, I'm just gonna keep doing that. I'm having fun enough doing it. Like, it's not ruining it for me, but like, I think it's bad game design, or not game design that I think is as good as it could be, by not kind of pigeonholing me into like doing at least a little bit more than what I'm doing, because I'm doing the same thing in just about every fight.
But are you dying?
I died a few times.
How many times did you die in this game? If you were to put
I died in boss fights.
Yeah, same. How many times did you die in this game, do you think, overall?
30 times?
I think around 30 to 35 times. Yeah. Maybe 40.
Real quick on combat and difficulty or whatever, like, I think this game is really appropriately difficult for
the audience it gets.
The audience it gets, and for like the normal mode. I thought it was like, it's not like Kingdom Hearts 3 where it's just a little too like easy. I feel like a lot of games these days just kind of like, especially AAA games, like hold your hand a little bit. I was dying like a nice amount. I thought. They like made it like so each encounter at least like, I had to think or whatever. I had to be on.
Yeah, the fight against Venom at the end of the game, as Peter when you're in the school and everything, I died like 6 times to the point where I was like, I need to put this down.
Oh yeah, Laura's foot was on me. She was like standing there. I was like, I need you to move your foot. Like that's the problem right now. Like I was like, I need to lock in a little bit, and like even like the slightest inconvenience, I'm like, I need to be able to focus on fighting Venom. Right now.
It was very funny going from playing the game next to Haley and being like, she's like losing her mind at a lot of these moments. We're having a great conversation, but she just crashes on the couch, and that was a thank God moment, because when she was like next to me and we were talking a little bit and I'm playing, I died so many times. And then the second that like the conversation ceased and it was like 1 a.m. from 1 until 3 a.m. that Saturday night, and I just got to play and start the boss fight run, that's when I started really kicking some ass, and it was terrific.
We need to go a little faster.
Okay.
So new abilities. We kind of touched on that a little bit, but like, do you feel like how do you feel about like the new like main abilities,
so
like
for
the L1 abilities?
Wingsuit, the L1, okay.
Just like the in combat.
Just the combat, it's good enough.
Yeah, it's cool. Like, it looks cool, but it doesn't really move the needle for me when it comes to gameplay.
I do think that we are not giving enough credit before you get the symbiote on you. That L1 punch with the suit behind you and the speed and the like
it looks awesome.
It looks and feels awesome, but the second that you get the symbiote, you're like, I don't want to go back to that, I want this.
And I had to go back to that because of the trophy. There's a trophy for getting 100 kills with the spider one or whatever. So like I was like, I need to like grind this out a little. I only had to do like 30 more kills probably to get that, because I had, from the moment I got the symbiote on, I was wearing
the symbiote.
Yeah. So it's still fun and cool. I just think it's more flashy than actually changing the gameplay up. Those weren't in the original, right?
There was some sort of L1 abilities,
okay, gotcha.
But I don't think that obviously it didn't utilize the Iron Spider suit.
Yeah, because that was just a suit.
Yeah.
So then wingsuit traversal, Spider-Man traversal is amazing.
That's the one thing that like I when you gave it an 8, I'm like, I don't know how you can get to an 8. Personally, I thought before this conversation started, I was like, he's gonna give it an 8.5. I'm gonna give it a 9.
It's the most 8 out of 10 game I've played in my entire life.
Oh my god,
which isn't bad.
But the traversal is like a 12 out of 10.
That's like, the best part of the game.
You know, it's the best part of the game doesn't give it enough credit. Like when you do something perfectly, it's hard to get better.
The wingsuit is like just this. I honestly kind of was disappointed when I saw the wingsuit in trailers. I was like, I really love swinging, and if this kind of just dumbs it down or whatever, like I'm like, this might actually be a bad thing, but it doesn't.
Oh man,
like just the speed and like the ferocity that you can move through the city, it was like
the first thing I did, as I always do, find the highest peak, because I'm just that.
I didn't do that in this one for some reason.
Find the highest peak as Miles, jump off, flip backwards, what's up danger moment, slow mo L2, and then pop the wingsuit, flew out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this game fucking rules. Like, it's so good, dude. Oh my gosh. And so, like, I love the wingsuit. I love the side missions that allow you to utilize the wingsuit. I love...
We'll talk more about side missions later, but those side missions, the ones where you're following the drones or whatever, with the wingsuit, those are fun.
They're fun. They're just pure fun. And, like, that's why I'm like, side quests, it's going to be more fun.
And then stealth. I touched on it earlier. Do you feel strongly about this in the way that I do?
Not as strongly. I did utilize stealth a bit more in this game.
Did you clear out an entire location without getting seen other than requirements?
The mansion. When you're at the dinner moment.
Yeah.
Because you went in and you started stealth in the tuxedo. I was like, I'm gonna try stealth this entire time. I did not finish it stealth, though. I got really close to.
Yeah. Dude, there's no better feeling when you, like, completely clear out an area. Because, you know, like, the hunter bases?
Yeah.
So you, like, do a few of them, and then it unlocks a hunter compound.
Yep.
I cleared out an entire hunter compound twice with just the stealth. Just... and then walking over and then and slinging people up. I went over it earlier, but that was my favorite part of the game. I thought that was the biggest improvement when it came to gameplay, was the stealth. Because I'm not a huge stealth guy in video games. I don't really like going quiet.
Real quick, were you hot with your parry?
Yeah.
I for me, love the parry in this game.
It's the same issue I have with Liza P, though. It needs to be more like Sekiro. It needs to be.
What do you mean?
Why is it not a tap? It is a hold.
Oh,
when it's coming in, you have to hold like for a bit.
So normally,
because I'm usually hitting it. Like,
normally, I'm double tapping it because I'm just so scared.
Okay, well there you go.
But,
that might be why.
Like I with Liza P 2, coming straight from playing Liza P the night before into Spider-Man 2, I was hot on this parry. I loved it, and so that for me, I wanted to be brawling more than I wanted to be in stealth, just because of the counter and everything. I absolutely adored it, especially in those boss fights.
The parry really came up for me in the boss fights. And speaking of boss fights, that's our next little bit here.
Do we want to just run?
Yeah, I mean, we can talk like generally. So we have the Sandman at the front, which I think is more of just like a set piece moment. It's not really a boss fight in the traditional sense.
Totally. It's hard to die to. It's a tutorial basically, and it allows you to sort of experience New York and settle back in. I really enjoyed that fight.
And then I think the next one is Lizard, technically, right?
Yeah, we don't face...
You don't face anybody until Lizard, I don't think, off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's kind of shocking. Let me double check.
Isn't that wild? Yeah.
But
so I think it's Lizard next, which I thought was really fun. It was probably like one of the more or one of the least memorable fights out of the main ones. In my opinion. Am I right?
Is
Lizard next?
I don't have any notes on any boss fights before Lizard. My notes on Lizard is really, really fun, but this was still the moment where I'm like, this is an 8 out of 10 game. Yeah. This is a really great game.
I needed the Lizard boss fight just to like remind me that I really like the boss fights in this game, because we have a set piece one with Sandman, and you don't get a major boss fight until Lizard.
Yeah.
With like a big villain, and I do not think that was the case in Spider-Man 2018. You were getting villains left and right.
Yeah, I mean they were building out the Sinister Six, like it was terrific.
Yeah, I think the 6 villains in the first one definitely is better than having like the 2.
Oh, I disagree.
I think the villains in the first one are way better.
I think Doc Ock is way better. I think Doc Ock is better than both villains that we get in this game.
Yes.
But because the Harry relationship is
so good.
Like at the end of the day, when it comes to Spider-Man stories, the 2018 Spider-Man game is my favorite Spider-Man story, followed by Miles Morales. Like those two are
and this one here
over
third.
I really love Homecoming. Spider-Man.
So this is below.
I think that this is below Homecoming for me, and potentially. No, I enjoyed this more than I enjoyed No Way Home.
Okay.
So
yeah, I mean, I agree with that. While we're still on story for like just a minute here, just since it came up, Peter's face. I hate the redesign of Peter's face. I can't stand it. Like the emotional moments from the first one, like there's similar stuff here. I just can't take him seriously, dude. I just can't.
I could. It was fine for me.
It's weird. I don't know what it is. Like that was my Peter. That's who this character was, and it's like an imposter talking to me because I'm like, that's not what he should look like. I mean, I'm like, it just was frustrating to me. I could not get over that. And then so boss fights. Then we had Kraven, like a bunch of Kraven fights. We have Lee somewhere in there too.
So Lee is before the Kraven v. Peter, Kraven v. Miles v. Peter moment. The Lee fight is No, so like you get Lizard into Lee pretty fast.
That's the thing. It's like all the boss fights are just at the end of the game.
Like, and it was one of those like every boss fight you had another boss fight within an hour, every single one.
Right.
And I love the Lee fight. I think the Lee fight is my third favorite boss fight in this game, and that says a lot because there's a lot of terrific boss fights.
I think it might be my favorite when it comes to like actual gameplay mechanics.
The gameplay
was a lot of fun.
is terrific. The movement, and once again, I just like Miles' story. I think always is gonna hit a little bit more poignant for me. I think every boss fight, my favorite boss fights, none of them I play as Peter.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just realized that. Yeah, my top three. We can get to.
So then we have Kraven as multiple different versions of fighting against Kraven.
Yep. But the last one being in the jungle with the bell.
Yes, that one's pretty cool.
I love that boss fight. I think that I died a lot.
I died a lot too.
Which was like part of the fun. Where I'm like, once again, I want Kraven to be a badass. I want to feel like Kraven is dangerous, and Kraven felt in that boss fight dangerous. The stealth, the camo, like utilizing these things that we've seen around the city for so long, but now you sort of get it why he's the big boss. I love that fight.
That's where the parry really started to really hit for me.
And that's where literally I kept dying. I was like, I have to start using my parry every single time that he comes in with a heavy attack.
The 1, 2, and then like the heavy attack 3, and then the pushback or whatever was really satisfying.
Totally,
for the most part.
Totally.
And then we play as Venom and kill Kraven.
No, I'm the next boss fight is Miles versus Peter.
Oh yeah, dude, I forgot.
And that's
that was awesome.
That's my favorite boss fight in this game. The emotional beats, the begging, the pleading, the music. Right. All of it led into this moment where I'm just like, dude.
I totally forgot.
Once again,
about that. It's great. It's really good.
Once again, that's the moment where we're in this like boss fight hell, and I literally wrote down for one of my notes. I said the going from Miles v. Lee to Peter v. Kraven to Miles v. Peter. Goddamn, emotional. Hardcore into emotional again.
Yeah.
Where you get the emotional moment with Lee and Miles, and then you immediately, and like once again, this just shows the emotional maturity of Miles and why I think he's a more interesting character, because the emotion in that fight is what makes the fight really spectacular and really amazing. I'm sorry that I keep on using amazing and spectacular. I know, we're talking about Spider-Man. I've said it a lot. It just is the word that comes to mind when I think of Spider-Man.
To be fair to my forgetting of the Peter and Miles fight, dude, like you just said, like 3 amazing boss fights, like all in a row, like, and that's really the rest of the game. There's like a lot of big boss fights. Like the fact that got lost in the sauce is not really a testament to like how good it was, because I think that would probably be my second favorite fight in the game. Yeah, just there's a lot of fights there.
For me, and we're about to get to it. It goes number 1 is Miles v. Peter. Number 2 is Venom v. Kraven. Number 3 is Miles v. Lee.
I liked so we're gonna go into the Venom section now. I'm talking about playing as Venom, and then I guess that fight. I liked playing as Venom. I wish it was a little bit more developed, if that makes sense.
I love that it, like, coming off of a game like Final Fantasy 16, where the big moment where you're like, when you're summoned and everything, and I'm trying my best not to spoil any FF16 in a Spider-Man review, but like, it's a lot of hitting square. It's a lot of like not technical.
The icon fights,
I felt like you had a lot more control on the sticks of this big, brooding, like,
you did feel powerful.
You felt powerful. I was about to say something way more inappropriate, but like you feel powerful in this game, dude.
Yeah.
And it, like, once again, I've discussed it ad nauseum, but that moment that you beat out Kraven, you're just like, oh shit, it's on. Like, and it really is on. And it feels good. I like the amount, like, once again, this was the moments where I was like 8, 5, 9. And like that's where I got to where I was. And by the end of this game, where I was like, I'm just having so much fun, and I'm dying, but I'm having fun dying, and I'm learning every single time I enter a boss fight. But the Venom boss fight, I didn't die, and I really appreciate
it. At the end?
No, at the
when you were fighting
Kraven.
I think I might have died once.
Which, like, for me, was a moment where I was like, that's perfect. Like, design.
There's nothing worse than being in a story situation where it's like, you're like, this is the final battle, and then, like,
you just die 7 times.
it's just ruining the story.
Yeah.
Like it's ruining my headcanon.
The Miles repeating lines to you, just like so. I've heard it,
Dude.
Miles. I get
Miles says a lot of the same lines over and over again.
Yeah.
Oh, like when you're clearing a base, they both have the same line over and over again when they reinforcements come in. The reinforcements, you guys can take me out on my own. Ah, it's like in my like the back of my skull at this point because I was just doing side missions last night. So then we have the final showdown with Venom. I think those fights were great, but I think that they pull a lot of the same stuff that I felt about the Kraven fight, where it's a lot of parrying. It's so like I feel like I already kind of did that before.
Wait, what fight are you talking about?
Venom at the end.
We got Scream in between that.
Scream.
Mary Jane.
Oh yeah,
the Mary Jane boss fight.
I guess that counts as.
Oh, it totally! It's a 4-phase boss fight, Connor. How is it knockout?
Yeah, I guess.
Dude, and for me, I died so many times, and I started to hate that fight.
But similar thing is like a lot of these final fights were a lot of just me parrying, which is fun.
Yeah.
Like, but it was a lot of the same thing over and over again.
Which but the emotional beats of like, I enjoyed the back and forth between Mary Jane and Scream and Miles, where like the music and the desperation, and not Miles, sorry, Peter multiple times being like, "I'm so sorry, I messed up.
Yeah,
I should have been better.
There was a lot of that with Peter in Venom as well, like just like the begging and the pleading or whatever. I really do like Yuri, the voice actor's his performance during those moments. Like he sounds desperate.
I think Yuri does get nominated for
Yuri Lowenthal. I think is his name.
Lowenthal.
No, it's Lowenthal.
Yeah. But I think he gets nominated at Game Awards this year, and I think deservedly so.
Yeah, I think he's
gonna
win, but I think he's gonna get nominated.
No, Clive's gonna win, or a character from BG3 will win.
Dude, I hope Ben Starr wins. I just like Ben Starr a lot.
Dude, he's cool. He's a cool guy.
Right. So
that's my Mario.
That's my Mario. Moving into missions generally, let's just kind of focus on side quests. I think is really kind of.
I enjoy most of the side quests. There's not as many of doing a lot. Like
I do appreciate that there isn't tiers for each side quest, like the gold, silver, bronze, only for the Mysterio ones, and they're not required for the platinum. I really appreciated that.
The Mysterio ones, dude. I like the no hit ones. I've only gotten. I've always taken a hit for the no hit ones, and then
I always get the below 3 though for me so far.
Oh, I've gotten the 3 on one of them. Like every now and then I get below 3.
Yeah.
Oh, I was saying I've only gotten the below 3 for one of them.
Oh, yeah.
I was saying I get the plus 3 for a lot of them.
But it doesn't matter. There's no real incentive to do it if there's no trophy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, like if you really want 100% the game, I guess there's more to do there. Or whatever,
yeah, like you're able to perfect your boss.
As far as I know, you're not required to get gold on all of them. Yeah. I hope that's not the case because I will do it, but I don't want to do it.
The first Mysterio fight that I entered, I died a lot.
Yeah,
like a lot. Like that was the most I died. I probably died 5 times.
Oh, weird. Yeah. That's funny. So, what is your favorite kind and your least favorite kind of side mission?
My favorite is the Mysterio fights because
really, those are your favorite side missions.
Because they're just all. It's what I want. And then you get to fight against Mysterio, and that's really cool. Like, there was that moment where I'm like, thank God that he's actually in this game to some regard, where it's like when we're talking about the lack of overarching villains, I enjoyed the fact that he had its moments, and also just the Mysterio DJ scene, super fun.
I thought that was going to come back around.
I wish
do it more.
Did.
And I'm kind of glad it didn't.
Oh, I loved it.
Make it a little bit more complicated, and maybe
it got It got to a level where I was like, okay, like there's like 7-year-olds playing this game. Like like this is not gonna be the most difficult thing. But like as someone that plays an exuberant amount of music, I messed up like 2 times during that.
I did have a little bit of an issue with my screen being as big as it was, and me being as close like to the TV. I was like trying to look at both sides because I was like, which one is coming first? I like couldn't tell sometimes. So that was interesting. What is your least favorite? Do you have a least favorite type?
Not like they're all similar to me. I also do really enjoy the photos that you have to take. I love it.
I thought the photos are fun. Those are easy.
They're easy, but they're fun. But I don't really have a least favorite. And I think that is a big. I've done one of everyone that's like in the game. I think that's a big feather in their cap. Where it's not like, oh, Like even the Uncle Aaron ones where it's a lot of like you're scanning.
Oh, I love that.
I love those, dude.
Because they're really not intrusive in my opinion. Also, I really like the adaptive trigger like things or
The
whatever.
dual sense in this game, dude. Like I'm telling you,
the dual sense is best used when it's not intrusive but just additive, and that's how it is here.
Yep.
There's some games where it is intrusive, and I do not like it.
I will never forget the first time playing COD Cold War.
Yeah, dude.
And like
it feels bad.
Oh, I for the start of it, I loved it, but at
a
certain point, I was
gets
like,
old
it
or
gets
whatever.
old.
But this year, it just like I just felt good about it the whole time.
Yeah, the whole time.
So for me,
even the spray can paint and this like I enjoyed the like.
I'm okay with motion controls for the most part, but yeah. My favorite is the unidentified target, the drones
Birds.
or whatever. Oh my god, the speed which
like the worst is when you dive down and you're just like, oh shit,
yeah, it's hard to control sometimes, especially since it's inverted.
Inverted.
So my mind sometimes just gets tripped up there. And then my least favorite are the science ones. I cannot believe those are in the game. The
orbs,
and like like shooting the bees. And did you get any of those?
No, I haven't done those yet.
There's also like a bike riding one.
I've seen that.
There's also just even like the orbs, like the science mini game. Those I don't like those either.
Yeah,
those actually are better than I thought they were at first.
They're a lot better than the pathway ones in the first.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think a lot of the improvements this game makes from the annoying stuff from one. I'm just are good. I'm just upset that they're still there.
Yeah,
I thought they learned more from Miles Morales.
This is right. If I were to rank my Spider-Man games overall, Miles is still my number one because it literally does nothing wrong in my eyes.
When they put me in the shoes of Mary Jane, I was like, I audibly said out loud, I was like, you have to be kidding me right now. I couldn't believe it, and then it's better than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, it's way better, but like it is still.
I still want to be Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I still want to be Spider-Man in my Spider-Man.
I was next to Alien. I was just like, this better be better, and it was. And then she's like,
it's still not great.
But there was the moment where I was like, do you want to like order food? Like I was out of it compared to like has like.
That's how I feel about all the. Some of them are like really quick, luckily or whatever. But usually when it comes to like being just in street clothes, I'm like, just get to the next location. Like the fair. When you're at Coney Island, I was like, I did a few of the mini games that are there.
I did 7% of them.
I was like, I don't want to do all these. Like, I could take this or leave it. Like, I just ended up going to the location eventually for the things I had to do. Lastly, suits. Favorite suit, least favorite suit for Miles and Peter. Or not least favorite, just favorite.
Just favorite.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say first and foremost the threads that they give you in at the start of this game, perfect. Like I every single suit I tried on, I would eventually end up going back. Except for the Miles suit at the very end of the game, I actually really do enjoy that suit.
I hate that suit.
With the hair sticking out.
It's so ugly with the blue.
Somebody said, but I like the Mysterio blue. Because I played
Mysterio blue.
The blue looks like almost like ghostly, that looks like the head of Mysterio, and I've only done Mysterio fights as Miles.
Yeah,
and so
you can only do him as Miles.
Oh, perfect. Then then I like it even more. Somebody did nail it though. They're like there should be a hood on it, but
yeah, the hair looks ridiculous.
I do enjoy. There's one that is like a more technological suit on Miles that you can change the colors. I think it's the fourth suit that's possible. You can change the colors, and I rocked the purple and green Prowler style as Miles for the second most majority in this game, and I loved it. And then I do think that the all cream and then black Venom suit for Pete is kind of ugly.
You think it's ugly? Dude, for me, I think it felt story sacrilege to take it off of him or whatever because of the story. Like I just didn't want to take off the Venom suit, so I do like the Venom suit for Peter. But otherwise, I was rocking the black Raimi suit for a lot of the game. Or the Amazing Spider-Man suit for Peter. I also really do like the original white spider suit that Peter has. So I played most of the game in the Venom suit whenever I got it. I thought it was cool, and I also really do like the white Venom suit, the anti-Venom suit. I think that's my preferred, honestly, between the two. I also like how it looks with the abilities and everything. I thought that was really cool. And then for Miles, I rocked Daft Punk since I got it or whatever, like the one with like the Daft Punk like helmet or whatever with like the headphones. I did that one for most of the game.
That's cool.
I really like that one. The Into the Spider-Verse ones and Across the Spider-Verse ones look so cool.
Yeah.
Can you turn off the lower frame rate
I
thing.
don't think so.
That annoyed me. I couldn't do it. It hurt my eyes.
Yeah, I tried them for 10 minutes.
I feel like I did it in Miles Morales and it didn't bother me.
Yeah.
Though. So I don't know why it's so bad here. Real quick, SSD is really impressive in this game with flying around the city. That is what makes it a PS5 game.
Dude, this game is so next gen when it comes to the city layout. When it comes to the there was 3 different moments where Haley's on her phone. I'm like at a super high point in the building, and there was one during day, one during sunset, and one during nighttime. Where I was like, "Hey, look at this," and like she was like, "Holy shit!" I'm like, "Holy shit!" Right? Like it looks so good. Like it just looks so good. And so, the
environment in the city looks amazing.
And
the in-game looks really good. The character faces, in some instances, like NPCs, look a little weird.
For me, this is the NPCs that have some rough moments.
Not even the NPCs, just like some characters. I'm just like, why did that first scene in the classroom? I was like, why is this so? Yeah,
why does every character not look great?
Yeah, everybody, even Peter looked bad.
Yeah, Peter looked bad. And Miles looked bad.
Yeah, and then it got better as it went. It was weird.
Yeah, which I was like, but I just want to leave this review before we hop into this draft with this last sentence.
Can I ask one more question before you go into it though?
Yeah,
How long did it take you to beat it?
Took me close to 16 hours.
Yeah, I think I finished at 17 or 18. I'm at 23 right now after doing side missions yesterday. Yeah, I'm going to platinum the game.
I'm at 19.
I think I'm at 80% on the map. I wish we said this at the beginning.
Oh yeah.
I feel like we should start off reviews talking about how long it took us to beat it.
Yeah,
I think that's a great length. I think that you get your money's worth here. If you are a big Spider-Man fan, you are going to love this game.
It's the hard part of this is like I keep on seeing people be like, "It's too short." I'm like, dude, if
it was any longer, if it was any longer, it would be fluff, just complete fluff.
You do so much. The side missions feel great. Every single thing in this game feels great. It is this is my issue with your score. Everything that is bad in this game is an 8 out of 10. That is lower than. There's not a 7 out of 10 thing in this game for me. And that's why I'm like,
I think everything in this game is an 8 out of 10.
It's an 8, but there are moments. There's 10 out of 10 moments. There's 10 out of 10 traversal, and that's what gets me to my 9.
I don't agree necessarily, but yeah, I mean, it's okay to disagree.
We got a draft to do. But I just want to say, Insomniac greatest $300 million ever spent. I cannot they are an S tier now just because of the pace that they put out A tier games.
Right.
And that is what you need when you have not as many studios as an Xbox.
I think they make A tier games. I don't think they make S tier games.
That's what I said. They just continuously release A tier games.
They make so many 8 out of 10s, and you need that. I think they're so consistent. There's nothing wrong with being an 8 out of 10 studio. I'm saying all they do is make great games.
Here's the thing. I think Spider-Man 2018, if I were to rate all the Spider-Man games, I would give Miles a 9, this a 9, Spider-Man 2018 an 8.5, and Ratchet a...
You just gave it a 9.
8.5, 9.
Oh, you said 9, or Spider-Man 2018 is an 8.5?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which, controversial, but the slow moments of that game were too slow.
I'm just saying in comparison to Spider-Man 2, I'm shocked that it's lower. I thought it would be at least on
no.
From a story standpoint.
The story is probably the best story, but it's better. The slow moments are too slow in that game. They completely take me out of it. That game has 7 out of 10 moments, 6 out of 10 moments. This game does not have that.
I just think everything about it, like I just said,
everything about it's great. Good.
Everything about it's great.
Man, this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Right, ready?
Do you want me to intro it, or how do you want?
You can intro this.
All right.
Do you want first pick or second pick?
You got first pick.
Ooh, you're just gonna give me the draft then? Okay, cool. Word.
Do you want to snake this one? A few people asked about snaking.
Do you want to snake these nuts? I'm sorry. But no, I don't really care.
Let's snake for this one.
Okay. Oh, so I get first pick, but you get to snake?
Do you want me to take first pick then?
No.
Okay.
I'll take first pick.
We're going to snake this one.
Great. I like my 1, 4, and 5 a lot, so.
I like a lot of my picks.
All right, ready?
All right. Today we are drafting horror games for spooky season. Yeah, I can already do that.
No, I like that, but okay. You can redo it.
All right. Today we are drafting horror games for spooky season. Nick, you take the first pick. What do you got?
I'm taking the best action adventure horror game of all time. Give me RE4. I'm not going to say a specific version. Pick your favorite, but RE4, the gameplay, the story, the moments, the characters, Chef's Kiss should be the number one.
Yeah, that should be the number one. It should be the original version, in my opinion. But yeah, I'll give it to you. You can choose whichever version you want. The original version is better, though. With my first overall pick, I'm going to go Silent Hill 2. Scared the shit out of me when I tried playing this in college. Even on the PS2 with its bum-ass graphics in comparison to today, it still just has so much atmosphere and it's terrifying. I hated it. Like, it's so good, but I hated every second of it, and that is a testament to just how scary this game is. I think Silent Hill 2 is a masterclass in world design and atmosphere and horrors. So yeah, with that is my second overall pick. And with my third overall pick, my favorite survival horror game, Dead Space Remake. Give me Dead Space Remake, one of the greatest games of 2023. Put some respect on Dead Space Remake. Love that game. The Ishimura is almost as iconic as the Spencer Mansion, in my opinion. So yeah, put some respect on Dead Space.
I'm going to go with the scariest game of all time. Give me PT with my next pick. There are certain scenes in that game that I saw as a young lad that are still in my dome, and I want to get them out desperately.
Great pick.
And I'm going to follow it up. When you guys see this, the horror list will already be out. They consider it a horror game. I'm going to just take one of the greatest games of all time. Give me The Last of Us. It's got zombies in there.
I forgot to put that on my
list. I'm
list.
going to take The Last of Us. So I got RE4, PT, The Last of Us, Connor. Good luck.
With my third overall pick, I'm going to go with Bloodborne. Did you see that one coming?
Not a horror game.
Yes, it is.
Not a horror
if
game.
if The Last of Us is a horror game, Bloodborne is a horror game. It is spooky as all get out. It's dark. It's bloody. It's a horror game. Bloodborne.
We gonna say Elden Ring's a fucking horror game now?
Not in the same way that Bloodborne is. No. Bloodborne is a horror game, for sure. And with my fourth pick, I'm going to take Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem for the GameCube. A game that I would really like to purchase sometime soon. A game I would really like to purchase sometime soon, but it cost $100. And I think I might splurge soon and pick that one up.
So you have no Resident Evil on your team thus far?
Yeah.
Wow. In my top 9 games, I have 3 Resident Evil games.
Well, you took the one that I would have taken.
Yeah, but I'm going to take Resident Evil Remake to be my fourth pick. Well, it's kicked it off. One of the greatest of all time, The Mansion, iconic. And then I'm going to close it out with a fan favorite from our people, Left 4 Dead 2.
Whoa.
Mic drop. RE4, PT, The Last of Us, Left 4 Dead 2, RE Remake. One of the greatest drafts I've ever composited.
Really it's really solid.
No, it's solid? It's
really solid.
I just put you over my shoulder and beat you down, son. Terrific draft.
I got one more pick.
You got one more? How do you not take an RE?
I'm about to.
Okay.
With my last pick, I gotta take, what is it? The 43rd? RE2?
Oh.
Yeah. With my last pick, I'm gonna take Resident Evil 2 Remake, the superior remake for the Resident Evil series. Fantastic characters, Mr. X, Leon, Claire, Ada Wong, the Raccoon City Police Department, iconic location. Love Resident Evil 2 Remake. Got me into the Resident Evil series in the way that I am today.
All right. Well, that was it, man. I can't believe that we're done.
You want me to cut it off here?
Yeah. I like mentally need to recover, because the best part of leaving this podcast is we're just gonna be able to talk more about this game afterwards, and I'm really excited about that.
All right. That was the casual gaming conversation. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today, talking Spider-Man. Be sure to follow us on all our different platforms, TikTok, Twitch. come say hi to us on Twitch. We'd love to talk to you. And thanks so much for watching.